Well, hello there, Guns. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in tonight. Being a moderator, that's good. We are waiting, folks. We're going to have Jay Vincent on in a little bit. We'll get it going, and then we're going to take some Q&A as well to ask everybody's fitness questions, fitness, health, longevity, workout. It's going to be good. And then I'll bring people on for Q&A as well. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good. We'll wait a few minutes for people to get here. Jay is backstage right now, and we will get him on real soon. Remember, I'm going to talk to him for a little bit, and then we're going to do Q&A. We are going to do your questions tonight. Not just my questions, but your questions. You ask about your health, your fitness, your weight loss. And you can ask those questions in the chat, or I will put the StreamYard link up, and then you can actually stand side by side. We're going to be talking about high intensity. I view oh, thanks, Guns. Thank you. I refer to Jay as kind of like he was my introduction to high intensity, concentrated lifting. Jay and I used to speak at conferences, and I had him on the show. I don't know, I'm guessing maybe it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Let me know how the audio is. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me fine. Just want to make sure we don't have any snafu. Audio is good. Great. Thank you, Guns. Appreciate that. Almost spilled my grape snow cone down the front of my face. You know me and my grape snow cone. I welcome everybody from the worldwide pipe community. If you are here, I don't know who's here from the worldwide pipe community. I always like to have a good broadcast. Rocco, good to see you. We're taking everyone's questions. We're going to start in just a second here. We wait till I get a few more people on, then we'll bring Jay on. I will be talking to him about fitness, and then we're going to take your questions as well for him. And if you want to come on live and ask your question, for a minute or two, we'll do that. But I've known Jay for several years. There's about 3 people. There's about 3 fitness influencers, experts that I look up to and have 100% confidence in how they would guide me. Jay is one of those guys. Greg Doucette is not one of them, but he does get a lot of respect. No doubt. No doubt. All right, let's bring Jay on right now. Starting promptly. And there he is.
How you doing, George?
How you doing, Jay?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'll introduce you to the audience here. Jay and I know each other. We used to speak at conferences together, and I had him on my show. I don't know, Jay, that might have been 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have followed you, and you've been a major influence in my life. There's 3 guys that I personally know. Now, of course, there's the people who I see all over the web on YouTube and articles, magazines, and I'm referring to people that I personally know. There's 3 people that I look to for inspiration, guidance, and to challenge me. You are one of those. You are one of those people. So
it's an honor. Thank you. Out of 1 of 3, that's pretty good.
1 of 3. That's it. And I think you know the other guys too. I think you know Alexander Cortez.
Oh yeah.
And P.D. Mangan.
Him, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a biochemist that has gone into kind of like the health and fitness area.
Okay.
He's in his early 70s. Yeah, he's a good guy. Good guy.
Cool.
Anyways, but 3 guys that I trust, you are one of them. And I look forward to this tonight. We're going to be taking some Q&A from people and just chit-chatting with people. But why don't you tell the audience whatever you want about yourself? Go ahead, Jay.
All right. Well, I guess what kind of makes me different in the fitness industry is I recommend what most people would consider very little exercise. And I advocate that not only it will give you the same results while saving you time and saving your joints and not beating you up in the process, through my experience and everybody I've coached over the last 10 years, it gets them better results. You know, a lot of people come to me after they've tried everything and nothing seems to work. And what I prescribe seems to be the one thing that finally does. And it naturally ends up taking far less time than most people are used to. So it's called high intensity training. You know, a lot of people might come across Mike Menser lately or Dorian Yates. Basically, What I teach is a more refined version of that, you know, based on the findings and the science over the last, 30 years since they were popular, and kind of a more safer, practical approach. So I've been teaching this in my own training studios for, about 10 years. And about 4 years ago, started teaching it online and coaching it abroad. And, kind of part of what I do is also debunk the fitness industry, because most of it, I would say a good 95% of it, it's not only wrong, it's usually backwards. So what I try to do is help people avoid the nonsense, avoid wasting their time, beating themselves up, and learn what the truth is about exercise and what's actually effective.
You were the one that introduced me to high intensity, and I slowed right down when I learned some of the things that you taught. I don't want to say I was a gym rat, but I was a 5 sets of 10, couple hours in the gym kind of guy, 3-4 times a week. And listening to some of your teaching slowed me right down to the point where people would look at me in the gym and see how slow I was doing my reps. And I'll never forget you teaching about that. And the funny thing was how you don't have to be a gym rat. You know, these people that are just in the gym every single day trying to accomplish something, and it's not necessary. You don't have to live in the gym to get in shape, to look good. You don't have to live in the gym. Tell
No,
us about that.
you don't get bonus points for suffering with no direction. So that's kind of like the David Goggins or the Rocky Balboa syndrome. If I
Yeah.
go in there and I just suffer and I do whatever workout and I just push myself through it, well, eventually at the end of that trail, there are the results. And the people rely on this so heavily that they'll continuously do the same workout that isn't producing results for years and years and years. Discipline alone and commitment alone is not enough. A lot of people lack the discipline and commitment because they're under the erroneous assumption that you need to be a gym rat. The thing is, gym rats are gym rats because they like it. You know, a lot of people who respond really well genetically to exercise, they get a lot of positive feedback when they're in the gym. They look good, they feel good, they're strong, they're moving lots of weight, flexing in the mirror. Naturally, they'd want to be there more often. So you see these individuals who respond very well genetically, you see that they're all the time, and then you assume, well, they look like that because they're there all the time. But it's a common critical thinking error that people make. And the fact of the matter is, you know, exercise, a lot of people, I guess, use it for, you know, stress reduction and stuff like that, which is fine. But exercise should really be a very specific activity with a specific goal in mind. Exercise, it's a stress on the body. Everything about exercise itself is a bad thing. Nothing good happens during exercise at all. You're damaging the body. You're weakening your muscles. You are producing inflammation. It's only after the body recovers from all that damage and stress. If you do it correctly, it signals an improvement. A lot of people are under the impression that their body is changing as they're in the gym. You know, my arms are growing as I do curls. In which case, that would make sense to do more. But, you know, at what point does it end? 2 hours a day? Why not 3? Why not 8? Why wouldn't a professional bodybuilder spend 8 hours a day in the gym like, you know, a traditional work day? Because there's obviously a point of diminishing returns. And the truth is, if you have a specific goal in mind of something you're trying to achieve in the gym, which is stimulating your body to adapt and change, it takes far less than people imagine, but far more effort than people are used to. Far more temporary discomfort. So the way a lot of people train is they go in and they demonstrate the movements. I'm going to do 5 sets of 10. First of all, why 5, why 10? Why not 2 and 7?
Right.
Why not 4 and 13? Because 5 and 10 are easy numbers.
And I don't have a good answer for you. That is where your challenging me actually worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's very again, it's I don't want to say it's the blind leading the blind, but it's human pattern recognition. We see big guy, he does this stuff made guy big. I'm going to copy him and look like him. But it would be no different than going to an NBA game and seeing guys dribble up and down the basketball court and say, well, these guys are really tall. Maybe if I go dribble a basketball on a wood floor, maybe I'll get tall. No.
Yeah.
Those body types gravitate towards basketball. People with natural genetic ability to build muscle gravitate towards bodybuilding, physique stuff. And then naturally they enjoy doing it, so they spend a lot of time there. You know, I was a professional fitness model in magazines. And I, for the last 10 years, have not trained more than once every 5 days. So even as an anecdote, you know, along with the rest of my clients, the thing is, here's an analogy I used with one of my clients this morning, actually. It's like you were to mop your floor. You don't want to spend all day mopping your floor, right? So you're going to find the most efficient, effective way to do it. But when you learn to mop your floor, the person who teaches you say, well, I go over it 3 times. And you're like, well, why? Well, everyone always goes over it 3 times. You're like, but
Right.
what if I can get it clean in 1? Why
Yeah.
do I do it 3? You know, so a lot of it is just tradition, pattern recognition, and no direction. So what I do is I teach direction. What we're going in the gym for, what the objective is, how to achieve that objective of muscle stress directly without wasting time and without beating up your body in the process. And that's what allows people to start training and continue to do it for the rest of their life. A lot of the times time gets in the way, and that's why people stop. But you should be able to exercise until very close to the day you die. And I've had clients that I saw 1 week and they didn't come back the next week because they were dead. You know, it's like they trained up until they're dead.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people think that training is for the young. And from what I've seen, muscle mass is one of the factors, is a longevity factor. One of the quickest ways to shorten your life is to lose muscle mass. So everybody benefits. Now, I'm going to be 66, and I will tell you, I love lifting. I do love the gym culture. I just love what it does for me. But at this point in my life, I'm not doing it to get big. I'm not bodybuilding to compete, although I'm half tempted to go down that road just to see what I can do. But I'm doing it for longevity. Talk to us about how muscle mass increases longevity. How is it good for us?
Most of it comes from the reversal or prevention of something called mitochondrial dysfunction. And this is what a lot of obese people or people with bad metabolism suffer from. You know, if your energy systems are not adequately challenged through intense stress of the muscle, because you have mitochondria in your muscle, and in order to produce energy for the muscle to contract, the mitochondria has to take the food you eat, break it down into energy so the muscle could contract. If you don't use it, you lose it. So pushing and challenging your metabolism, pushing and challenging your mitochondria keeps them vibrant and healthy and young. And part of the aging process is the long production of dysfunctional mitochondria. And that's actually a kind of a precursor for a lot of illnesses and diseases too. So exercise not only is good for longevity, it's been shown to obviously, of course, reduce all-cause mortality, but it's also been shown to reduce likelihood of pretty much any disease. But more specifically, there was a study done by a Russian geneticist who studies genes in 2007, Milov. He identified 596 genes are associated with aging, meaning 596 of these genes look different when you're young versus you're old. He put people on a 12 or 16 week resistance training program. And after that, over 400 of those genes reversed their expression from their old expression to their young expression. It reversed the aging process in over 400 out of 600 genes associated with aging. So not only is it good for longevity, it literally reverses biological aging to a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree. You're not going to look like you're 25 by lifting.
Sure. I tell people all the time, it's like, you know, if your goal is to try to turn back the years, good luck with that. Just be the best you can be for your age. I just want to be the best 66-year-old that there is. I don't want any competition. I want to be faster and stronger and leaner and healthier than anyone my age. Now, what about biological age? For instance, I did a stress test recently. I did an in-body analysis. I had a DEXA scan, and my biological age is 33. And I'm trying to get down to 30. But tell us about biological age versus chronological age.
Well, biological age, it appears, I'm kind of I'm no expert on, the definition or the specifics behind biological age, but I would say it's physiological headroom. So the way Dr. Doug McGuff describes it is physiological headroom is the difference between the most you can do and the least you can do. And when you age, the most you can do and the least you can do starts to get closer and closer and closer. And when those 2 points meet, that's called dead. So when your physiological headroom, fitness, improves not only your muscular strength, the cardiovascular health and fitness, metabolic health and fitness, bone and connective tissue strength, cognitive ability, reduces inflammation, reverses damaged genes, what's that doing? Increasing that physiological headroom. So when you're very, very young, that headroom is very, very large. But as the systems in your body start to weaken or get worse or less effective, now we start to come down. So I'm assuming it has something to do with that. Just because, and you can see this now, 50-year-olds look like they're 35 now if they do the right things. You know what I mean? It's because we've got, and over the last 50 years or so, fitness became more popular. Obviously, there's people are more superficial and conscious about the way they look, but fitness has also gotten much more popular. And you notice people look younger as they're older now.
That is true. It's funny. I joke around. I say I'm only 66 from the neck up, but because my body does not match my face, and there's not a lot we can do about this part, but there's a lot we can do about this part from the neck down. Now, I do realize that lifting makes me feel better. It makes me think clearer. I have more motivation, more energy. What is the benefit of lifting for everybody? Let's just talk universally. What is the benefit of lifting for everybody?
Everything in your life becomes easier. Period. The healthier you are and the higher your physical capacity, not only are you going to have a far less chance of any sort of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorder, even cancers, things like that, because your mitochondria are functioning at a high level and everything's working well. You're obviously going to look better. You're going to feel better about yourself. When it comes to looking better, whether it's right or it's wrong, we are judged by the way we look. If you take an obese individual and you were to follow them around with a camera and see how people interact with them versus somebody who's very fit, and people who are fit are treated better. And the way I see it is that in association with the health benefits, it's the ultimate life hack of something you can actually control. So even if it took 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, it would still be worth it because of the advantages in every aspect of life that it provides. Luckily, it really only takes about 2 tough workouts a week that shouldn't last any longer than 40 minutes. So I think the reason a lot of people are not engaging in this life hack is because of the time commitment. The time commitment probably scares them. It's like, I got to spend all this time. And then they do it for 6 weeks. Nothing really changes. And they go, well, what am I doing this for? Because if they did actually get positive feedback, they would never stop. Why would you stop? Because the advantages are insane.
I will never forget talking with you when I had you on the show a few years ago, and you were talking about being in the gym at the most twice a week. And I said, why only twice a week? And you said, because it takes me that long to recover, that your workouts are so intense. I don't understand how people can be in the gym every day, because I know, like you said, you are not building muscle in the gym. You're breaking it down. The muscle builds during the sleep process and during recovery time. So you're right. People are addicted to the pump, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's the intensity that breaks the muscle down, and then you need that recovery period. Talk about the recovery period.
So what most people are doing in the gym is they are using their muscles, not training or stimulating them. Huge
Wow.
difference.
Wow.
Huge difference.
Say that again for the audience.
What most people are doing in the gym are using their muscles. They're not training or stimulating them.
Wow. Game changer.
Yeah. So people are under the impression that just performing the exercises, using their muscles, that's why I say that there's got to be a very clear intent in mind. Why am I doing this exercise? What is the goal of this exercise? I'll tell you what the goal is. The goal is to recruit and stimulate as many muscle fibers as possible in that target muscle area that you are trying to work during the exercise. For instance, if I'm doing a chest press, my goal is to recruit and stimulate as many muscle fibers in my chest, triceps, forearms, whatever, as possible. Because say you have, for the sake of simple numbers, 100 muscle fibers in your chest, and you want your chest to get the biggest and strongest as possible. Well, if you stimulate 20 of those fibers, it's not going to get nearly as big as stimulating all 100.
Right.
It's kind of like having 100 balloons and only filling up 20 of them.
Wow.
Compared to filling up 100 of them, it's going to be a much bigger bouquet of balloons, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we stimulate all 100? A lot of people think it's hitting the muscle from different angles, going to the gym for 2 hours, doing set after set, rep after rep, lifting heavy. No. This is called Henneman's size principle. All right. This was discovered by a Harvard neurologist in 1957 named Dr. Elwood Henneman. He found that your muscle fibers are recruited based on the intensity of the muscle contraction. So the harder that muscle contracts, the more signal your nervous system sends to the muscle.
Yeah.
Because it needs to produce more force, your nervous system needs to recruit more fibers. So every exercise, the point should be contract the muscles as hard as possible. So your nervous system literally sends electricity to as many as possible. Those muscle fibers engage. And when the muscle fibers contract and engage, they produce mechanical tension. That mechanical tension is sensed by the outside of the muscle fiber. There are something called mechanosensors on your muscle fibers. These mechanosensors sense that tension and they stimulate a biochemical process that tells your muscles to grow. It merely tells it. It sends the information. So we contract, and the way to do this is to lift to muscle failure. All right. That's the biggest thing people must do, because how much harder can you contract a muscle compared to contracting it against something that doesn't move? You couldn't possibly contract it any harder. It's as hard as it goes.
Right.
So after we turn on that biochemical signal, now you have to sit back. Your body's going to use the resources, amino acids through protein, some calories, and it's going to add what are called contractile filaments to your muscle. Think again like balloons. In the beginning, your muscle had 20 balloons, 20 contractile elements. We stimulated it. Now it's got 50. Boop. And the muscle cell expands in size to make room for more contractile elements. Muscle growth is a side effect of a stronger muscle. The more contractile elements you have in the muscle, the more force muscle can produce. It's like having horsepower in a car. It's like adding cylinders to an engine. You have a 2-cylinder, a 4-cylinder, an 8, a 12. When you add 12 cylinders, motor gets a lot bigger. When you add contractile elements to the muscle, it expands as a side effect. That is why you cannot train for strength versus size. So that's the goal of exercise. And when you go into a workout with that intent, you fatigue the body to a much deeper degree, and you require much more recovery time for all that to take place, which is why I only train at most twice a week, and I allow at least 3 days of absolute rest in between to let that process take place.
I love that. It's so funny. When I first heard about high intensity, not unlike a lot of people, I thought high intensity meant more weight, but that is a myth. Explain that.
Adding weight does indirectly make it more intense. Because think about it, the heavier the weight, the harder your muscles contract. You can do it that way. Or you can just choose a moderate weight and take the set all the way to the point where you cannot lift the weight if your life depended on it. Now, the biggest problem with this is a lot of people's perception of what that is way off. So if you went in the gym and you merely lifted and lowered the weight to the point where you could not lift it anymore, you're going to see great results. But you're really only about 70% of the way there. In order to learn how to take it to 100%, it takes a lot of instruction and learning. So if people want to maximize their potential in the gym, they have to learn that extra 30%. But if you go in and you lift weights, I'm stuck, boom. That's going to get you still great results, but not the best your body's capable of. So the problem with the only reason we don't do a 1 rep max for muscle growth, which you could, if you did one rep max, you could stimulate muscle as good as if you did 8 reps, 12 reps to failure. The reason is it's more dangerous. So every time you lift and lower a weight, there's something called external force that is being placed on your connective tissue, especially your tendons. So when I contract my biceps and a weight is in my hand, the weight is pulling my arm down this way and my biceps are pulling this way. Now at the tendon, what does that mean? The tendon is being pulled from 2 directions.
Yes.
There's shear force. And if you look at a tendon under a microscope, it looks a lot like a muscle fiber. There are fibers, and when that shear force happens, the fibers are pulling apart like this. Now, external force, it's Newton's law, force equals mass times acceleration. If you add mass, force goes up, that pulling force on the connective tissue goes up, more wear and tear, more likelihood of injury. If you add acceleration, if you lift fast, acceleration goes up, force goes up, more shearing force and more damage to the connective tissue. This is something Dr. Keith Barr of University of California, Davis found over the last 30 years of his study. And how he heals tendon injuries is by static training or only lowering the weight, because that eliminates that shearing force. And he says the way most people get hurt is from that jerking motion.
Okay.
Because they pull. So that's why we don't go heavy, and that's why you always want to go a little more slowly and a little more controlled.
I'll never forget the first time I saw you doing something. It might have been kind of like a barbell curl. And the average guy in the gym is kind of like 1, 2, 3, like doing like at that tempo. I'll never forget the first time I saw you doing this. Yeah. And I'm like, why is he taking so long? And you were doing like a 10 count up and a 10 count back, something like that. It was like ultra slow motion.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. That is called the super slow technique. Personally, I don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I like about a 3 to 4 second lifting phase. Okay. And a 3 to 5 second lowering phase. So it's controlled. The most important part, and the reason, so let me say this first, and this is something that is super important. And when I heard this from my colleague, it blew my mind because I never thought of it that way. His name is Joshua Trentin. He's like one of the smartest guys I know about exercise. It's just like a whiz. And he said, The stimulus occurs when the nervous system calls upon the muscle, regardless of the direction of movement. So as long as the muscle is producing force, your nervous system is recruiting, contracting, creating mechanical tension in muscle fibers. The weight does not need to move for this to happen. It absolutely does not. Muscles do not produce movement. Muscles produce force. When the amount of force the muscle produces exceeds the resistance working against you at lifting. When the amount of force the muscles produce is less than the resistance, you have lowering.
Yes.
That's all there is to it. So I used to go quite slow, but then I realized over the years that about a 3 to 4 second lifting phase and 3 to 4 second lowering phase is literally just as safe. But if I had an older client, I've had clients in their mid to late 80s, I'd have them doing a super slow protocol. But for, people who aren't fragile or old or, have cancer like some of my clients did, then they could go a little bit faster. You just want to make sure the change in direction is slow to get rid of that shear force and that jerk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is there any difference between, I'll talk about a couple different types of people here. Now, you've been training people for many years. Is there a difference between training men and training women? Is there a difference between training young versus old? Address those issues.
None. Absolutely none. So the exercise tolerance and recovery ability varies between individuals, and age and sex don't really play that much of a role. My female clients and my male clients did virtually the exact same workout, same intensity, same rep scheme, but the amount of exercise and the frequency varied between individuals. I had one woman client who literally needed 11 days between workouts. She was an extremely slow recoverer, and then some people needed 2. So I've trained kids as young as 8 who you can beat the crap. Well, I mean, kids, you can really beat the crap out of them in the gym. They are very tolerant of exercise. It's just when we're younger, we can just do whatever. But even older people, I've had lots of clients in their 70s, even 80s. They did the same twice a week, 9 exercise workout as some of my 25, 30-year-old clients. It doesn't seem to matter. It just varies between individuals.
Okay. What about time of day? What is the best time of day to work out, or is that just a completely personal thing?
Personal. I would say the best time of day to work out is when you feel like you have the most enthusiasm and energy. When you feel like you can go in there and just crush it. If that's 5 in the morning, fine. If that's at 8 at night, fine. For me, it's about 10 in the morning. That's when I find I have the most energy.
Right.
But not everybody's schedule is going to accommodate when they feel the best.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Right. That's excellent. That is excellent. Jessica, I know you're in the chat. Would you like to come on for a couple minutes and ask a question and or comment? If you would, let me know and I'll give you the link. And let's see. I believe Edith is in the audience. Edith, click the link. Come on and ask your questions. I have a pretty fit audience. They like working out, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Very conscientious people here, of all ages too. I have them as young as 18 and as old as 80.
Yeah, because I noticed you talk a lot about fitness on your channel. It's a super important aspect of life. I mean, it's exercise is health maintenance. A lot of people they get bored with exercise and they stop. Do you get bored of brushing your teeth and stop? Do you get bored of showering and stop? The exercise it's not supposed to be fun. Sure, there's things you can do to make it more enjoyable, but It's a health maintenance activity, just like brushing your teeth.
Man, I never thought of it that way. That question, like, do you get bored with brushing your teeth? That is a great question. You're right. It's got to be part of your life.
It does.
It's an activity that it's interesting. I never started thinking about longevity until I hit 60. And when I was younger, you think you're going to live forever. When you get a little bit older, you want to squeeze as much life out of this life that you can. And so I am all about the longevity right now, all about it. But I know it's not going to happen without lifting. Mm-hmm. And I know muscle mass is one of those things that I have to focus on. All right, we have someone that's going to come on live. And there she is.
Hey there, Jay.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good information tonight. I'm really impressed. There's a lot of people who just go to the gym and don't know the science behind it. So this is a really good conversation. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I personally train. I do train twice a week. I do an upper day and a lower day. I throw in some cardio and TRX and yoga throughout the week, but I work out, or I move my body, I should say, at least 6 days a week. And so I'm wondering what you're doing besides your 2 HIIT days. Are you adding anything to that?
Yeah, a lot of people have that question because we've been kind of conditioned. I think it was the American Heart Association said you need to exercise for 30 or 45 minutes every day, mm-hmm. but they didn't define what exercise is. So everybody kind of came up with their own definition. Is exercise walking your dog? Is it playing tennis? Is it lifting weights? So it is extremely good to move your body every day, doing something you like. Now, is that exercise? No, that's moving your body. That's recreation. Exercise, again, is a specific activity that you engage in with the intent of stimulating a positive physical adaptation. Now, is there going to be some positive physical adaptation from, recreational activities? Yes. But to use a recreational activity for the sake of stimulating the positive adaptation is kind of like, driving your car in the rain to wash it instead of just taking it to a car wash. It's like, is your car going to get kind of clean if you drive it in the rain? Yeah. But is that the way you want to wash your car? No, not really. You'd rather go to a car wash for the sake of cleaning it. So in terms of, daily activity, what I do, I just go out, ride my bike a little bit. I take my dog for a walk every morning, really early, get some sunlight. And that's kind of the additional physical activity I do, but I do it for the sake of enjoyment. I don't do it for the sake of getting additional benefit on top of exercise, because it doesn't appear that additional movement on top of exercise produces any additional positive physical adaptations. So cardio is one of those things that a lot of people don't quite understand. Okay, your cardiovascular system supports your muscle tissue. When you place a demand on your muscle tissue, the cardiovascular system has a demand placed on it. Now, the higher the demand on your muscle, the higher demand on your cardiovascular system, the better the stimulus for improvement. A lot of people think that you need to do kind of steady state locomotive activity for your heart and cardiovascular system, but that was actually proven wrong by Dr. James Steele in 2013 or 2016, exercise scientist out in the UK. And actually, him and Dr. James Fisher actually had one of the best exercise science programs in the world at this point, PhD program. And what he found through his research was that lifting weights, weight training, resistance training to momentary muscle failure produced the same cardiovascular improvement as steady state locomotive activity, even if it's only done a couple times per week. Because what they found was the cardiovascular improvement, some of it happens in the heart, most of it happens on the periphery. Most of it happens by improvement of stroke volume, the amount of blood your heart can take in and pump out, which is going to improve its cardiac output. That stroke volume is improved when your muscles get stronger, because your muscles are actually pumps. When you contract your muscle, they pump blood back up into your heart. It's called venous return. Your veins pump blood back into your heart. So when your muscles get stronger, they pump more blood back into your heart. You have better stroke volume, better cardiac output. And now your cardiovascular system works better as a whole, right? Then when you train your muscles really hard, you have something called capillary proliferation. Capillaries are the blood vessels. They carry blood throughout your body. When you train your muscles really, really hard, you literally add more capillaries. You add more vessels for the blood to flow through. That improves cardiovascular efficiency and output. And all of it happens through the muscle. Your body doesn't know the difference between, jogging, walking, whatever. You simply have to stress your muscles and stress your cardiovascular system, and they will improve together. So I personally don't do any additional cardio. None of my clients ever have. And if they worked with me long enough, they had resting heart rates in the 50s and 60s, and some of them in the high 40s. In fact, here's a funny story. When I was 28, I went to my doctor for a physical, just whatever, yearly physical. And he's listening to my lungs. I found this extremely weird. He's listening to my lungs. He said, He goes, are you a runner? I said, no. He goes, are you like a swimmer or a biker? Do you do endurance stuff? I said, no. He said, you have the best lungs I've ever heard. This is exactly what he said. And I'm like, and this is when I was in my training studios, training people. I'm thinking like, I only train once or twice a week. I know it's an anecdote, but most of my clients experience the same thing without additional cardio.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of cardio, so I appreciate what you just said.
You don't need to do it. And,
Thank you, Jay.
Cardio for fat loss provides some benefit, but as they say, the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze. You'd be better off being a little more careful with your caloric intake than trying to burn additional energy with effort. Because if I go outside and I try to burn energy, what does that cost me? It costs me time, costs me energy, produces damage and inflammation, wears me down. For a little bit of additional calorie burn, I'd rather just eat less if I want to lose fat instead of go out and do all that.
Currently, I have a community of women that are, we're all over our 50s, and most of them haven't worked out ever. And so I'm trying to be gentle with them and get them into just moving 10 minutes more today than they did yesterday, and using body weight movement. But you sound like HIIT is the way to go for you. Where would you recommend somebody starts?
It's a very basic protocol. 5 to 7 exercises covering the major muscle groups once a week is a great place to start. If people trained literally once a week or even twice a month this way, there would be an almost astonishing improvement in health and fitness, especially people who have never trained before. Lots of my clients in my studios have never resistance trained before. I had a lady named Faye. She was in her 80s with cancer, going through chemo. I had a guy, Joe, with MS. He used to come in an electric wheelchair. After 1 month of training with me, guess what? He came in with his walker. He left his wheelchair at home. That's how much strength training can literally improve your life. So I would recommend 5 exercises a couple times a week. They can be body weight, they can be machine. Your muscles don't know the difference. You need to provide resistance for your muscles to contract against. So your nervous system recruits more muscles than it's used to. I lift this coffee mug, there's not a high demand on my muscle, but if I lift a 10-pound weight, there's more demand. You just want to fatigue your muscles. You could do this with body weight. You do it with resistance bands. Your body doesn't know, but you just want to work all the major muscle groups. A horizontal pushing movement, a horizontal pulling movement, a vertical pushing movement, or maybe some sort of shoulder raise to work the deltoids, a vertical pulling movement, and then some kind of leg press or squatting movement. And you've worked the majority of the muscles in your body. And if you do those 5 exercises correctly, the health improvements, the physical capacity improvements for someone who's never worked out before will be mind-blowing if they're done correctly. You don't need much.
And what do you
Edith.
consider full? I'm sorry. One more, George.
No,
This is my thing, you know.
Yeah, no, please. This is, I want you to ask. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you consider full recovery?
Full recovery, again, it's going to vary on a couple of things. It's going to vary on how hard you push your body. It's going to vary on just your individual recovery ability. This varies so tremendously between people, and it's not more fit people recover faster. You know, I'm about 220 pounds and 10% body fat. I recover ridiculously slowly. So you look at me and be like, oh, you could go to the gym every day. The opposite. This is something you have to find for the individual. I would say you are ready to train again when you go into your workout and you feel as strong or stronger than last time, and you feel you have the energy and enthusiasm to push hard. That's it. You know, it's not when the soreness goes away. It's not a specific amount of time or days. You know, I remember a colleague of mine, Drew, put me through a workout about 6 months ago. He took me through 4 exercises. And again, he's an expert in this and he knows how to extract everything out of your body. He took me through 4 exercises, 1 set per exercise. I went back to the gym 7 days later. I got on the chest press and I'm like, I have nothing. I'm not ready. It was 7 days and 4 exercises. Why did it take so long? Because he pushed me to a level that I am not able to push on my own. I required longer recovery. Some people, they are not going to push themselves that hard. They could probably go, you know, every other day, maybe every 2 or 3 days. It really depends on a variety of factors. But when you feel ready to go and you feel energetic, I like energetic and enthusiastic. Because if you're not ready to exercise again, you're going to be like, ugh, I don't feel like I can do this. And if you don't. To a degree. You don't want to, you know, make excuses, but that's how I analyze it.
Edith,
Thank you.
queue up your next question, and I'm going to ask a couple other questions here. So get your next question ready.
Okay.
Paul Belmont
Thank you,
says,
Jay.
Paul says, I did a cold plunge and sauna yesterday. Thoughts on the benefits of cold plunge and sauna?
So most of the benefits of cold plunge and sauna are going to be had more efficiently and comfortably from exercise. So the benefits of sauna, you know, I've heard, I'm not extremely well read on what people believe the benefits of sauna are, but I remember hearing something about heat shock proteins. And heat shock proteins are stimulated in the sauna, and they stimulate a downstream effect that causes reduction in inflammation. Okay. Heat shock proteins are also stimulated during exercise, probably to a higher degree. Okay. Just sweating for the sake of sweating is not physiologically necessarily good for you. Sweating is your body's mechanism of removing water from its sweat glands, essentially dehydrating you, so that water evaporates and keeps your core temperature from going too high so you don't die. Okay? It's a cooling mechanism. Turning on this cooling mechanism isn't somehow good for you. It does not release toxins or all this crap that people think. That's a marketing ploy. Okay? It's nonsense. If you like to sweat, fine, but there's no physiological benefit from merely sweating. When it comes to cold plunge, the benefits of cold plunge are tenfold from exercise if done correctly. Okay, a lot of people talk about the brown fat and all these other things. a lot from I'm not against cold plunging. I'm just very skeptical of these new things that come through as if they're like breakthroughs in health and fitness, because fitness is quite simple. Fitness gets old, and everybody's kind of looking for a new thing to come up with that's going to turn you into Superman or some kind of superhero. But in the pursuit of, and Dr. Doug Guff says this, people need to realize that in the pursuit of becoming human, you must realize that you're only human. Okay, you're not going to become superhuman. Can you improve your health and whatever? Sure, but are you going to become Tony Stark by doing a cold plunge every day? I don't think so. I personally like cold plunges. I think they're fun. They feel good. You get up, you're like, whoa. But the energy increase from a cold plunge, that is just a cortisol spike in epinephrine, because your body thinks it was about to die and freeze to death. So a lot of people say, well, I have a lot of energy after. Well, yeah, because your body just thought it was going to die. It's not necessarily a healthy way of producing energy. It's epinephrine, it's adrenaline, it's cortisol. And that is your body's mechanism of, get serious right now, because you're going to have to figure a way out of this. So they're fine, but I just don't think they provide the benefit that the fitness industry says they do.
All right. Here's another question. This is from Paul. And I will preface this question by this. I'll have you back on and we'll talk about stuff like TRT and peptides, which is the latest thing going around. And we'll talk about biochemical stuff. We're not going to talk that tonight. But Paul says, Jay, what about diet and supplement routine?
Diet and supplement routine. Okay. So I do have a diet and supplement routine now. For a long time, I just didn't really care. But recently, I do have a relatively specific diet and supplement routine. So I'll tell you guys what mine is. I eat the same exact thing every single morning, and for a very specific reason. I have 3 eggs, cooked in olive oil, a bunch of spinach, also cooked in olive oil for potassium and the micronutrients, eggs for the protein. And then I usually have a little bit of jasmine rice, which is an easy digestible, low FODMAP carbohydrate. Low FODMAP carbohydrates, they don't spike insulin as much. They don't produce inflammation, gut inflammation, things like that. I have that exact same breakfast every day. Then the rest of the day, there'll be a snack, which is just a Greek yogurt, which is I think it's called Oikos 000, 15 grams of protein, no crap in it. That's my snack usually. Lunch and dinner, some combination of protein, another low FODMAP carb, maybe some spinach and another kind of small amount of green vegetable for the micronutrients. And that's pretty much it. I kind of repeat the same thing every single day. Supplement wise, magnesium and zinc at night. Sometimes, depending on what I eat, digestive enzymes at night. And this is a really important one that I've been doing. The first thing I do when I wake up is I have about 18 to 20 ounces of water with salt. So salt is our body's primary electrolyte, or one of them. Throughout the night, you become dehydrated. The first thing you want to do before coffee, before tea, before anything, you want to rehydrate. So the first thing I do right when I get out of bed, go to the kitchen, glass, salt, boom, 1/2 a tablespoon, drink that. Prime your body. Get hydrated. Next thing I do, I go outside and I sit in the sun for 30 minutes in quiet. So why do I do this? One, when you pick your phone up first thing in the morning and you get that cheap, unrewarded, unearned dopamine spike, that sets you up for nervous system catastrophe throughout the rest of the day. Okay, so no phone, no nothing. Getting sunlight first thing in the morning stimulates your mitochondria. A friend of mine, Dr. Chris Bronson, brilliant TRT doctor, just a brilliant guy, explained the research of this to me. You get sunlight, if your eyeballs absorb sunlight, you will kickstart your mitochondria and you will prime your metabolism for the rest of the day, as long as your mood and your nervous system. So I do that same exact routine every single day. Avoid sugary, crappy, high-fat foods before bed to not interrupt sleep. And I just repeat that process every day. And it may seem complicated, but it's extremely simple, because now you don't have to think about, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? You just eat to fuel your body and you move on. So that is my current routine.
Jones says Dorian Yates did 1 set workouts. Now, I know that you are personal friends with Dorian Yates. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, he did. What I do is Dorian Yates' approach. We have the same philosophy, which is why we are friends. Dorian Yates, it's the exact same thing. I just use a more refined version of it. Dorian Yates' approach is more kind of bodybuilder approach. My refined version is geared more towards the average individual. I do train a competitive bodybuilder currently. Our approach is a little bit different because, with the pharmaceutical enhancements, your recovery ability through the roof, your tolerance through the roof, it's a completely different ballgame. But yes, I essentially do not exactly what Dorian Yates does, but we do the same training. I guess you can call it philosophy.
Steve O says, my protein levels have been low lately. How can I get them back to normal? How do you increase your protein?
It's so easy. Eat 6 to 8 ounces of some sort of animal protein for lunch and dinner, and you're at about 100 grams. If people can't do that, I just, in Western society, that is beyond easy. A couple eggs in the morning, Greek yogurt, 15 grams. So now you're at 30 grams right there. It takes 2 seconds. You have a little bit of chicken, 6 to 8 ounces of chicken for lunch, or some kind of animal protein, 6 to 8 ounces of protein for dinner. You're at 120 to 150 grams. I don't see what's so hard about it. I could eat 100 grams of protein on accident. And keep in mind, your protein doesn't need to be absolutely through the roof. I would say for, most men, 120 to 150 grams, that's it. It's 2 meals. It's easy.
Jessica says, Jay, do you use creatine? And if so, how much?
I personally don't use creatine, but I should, honestly. Creatine is an extremely good supplement. I would say 2 to 5 grams per day for most people, if you use it.
Jessica says, to lower body fat, I'm at 28% and build muscle. I eat a gram of protein per pound, 125 per day. 59-year-old female. What tips do you have for me? She asks.
Well, the protein intake is not going to have any effect on your body fat. Obviously, if you switch to, and I'm not recommending this, I would never recommend a carnivore diet. But if you did, the thermic cost of digestion of protein is higher, meaning your body actually has to expend more energy to break it down. So if you ate nothing but protein, you'd probably lose weight, but it's not a healthy way to do it. Your body runs much better on glucose and when it has fat in all the 3 macronutrients. Tips for losing fat. Look at what you're eating every single day for 5 days. Try to measure the calories. Okay, so I'm eating this. Put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, I ate this, and this. How many calories roughly did I eat per day? Do that for 3 to 5 days. See your calorie intake. Then start taking things away from your daily eating intake. So say I ate, yogurt for breakfast, and for lunch I had, a slice of pizza and a fruit cup, and then, whatever. Take one thing away. Boom, now a reduction in calories. Look at your body weight. Is your body weight going down? No. Okay, take a little bit more away. Say I eat, 2 pieces of avocado toast for breakfast. 1 piece of avocado toast for breakfast. See what happens to your body weight. Doesn't change? Do something else. It's literally that easy. The easiest not the easiest, but the most effective way to lose weight is really to eat kind of the same meals every day, because now you have data and now you can adjust. So if I'm eating 8 ounces of chicken, 1 cup of jasmine rice for lunch and dinner, and I want my weight to go down, I cut it down to a half a cup of jasmine rice. And that's it. You know, the calorie counters, they'll guide you, but the thing is they're not very accurate, because food labels, the FDA actually passed a bill in 2016 or 2012, one of those years, that allowed a 20% margin of error in food labels, because they're not going to get it perfect. They have to be a ballpark. But the food companies use this to their advantage. So if something says 100 calories, it's very likely close to 120. If something says 10 grams of protein, it's very likely closer to 8. Okay, so keep that in mind too. And a lot of the times when you're using the MyFitnessPal, and MyFitnessPal says I'm in a calorie deficit, but I'm not losing weight. Well, here's what's happening. Either MyFitnessPal is inaccurate, or you're physiologically not from this planet. You know, it's like, obviously MyFitnessPal is inaccurate, because if you're in a negative energy balance, you're going to lose weight. Stop relying on MyFitnessPal. So if I were to lose weight, that's what I would do. Look at what I'm eating, start taking things out.
Here's a question from W. Adam Mandelbaum. He says, what is your opinion of isometric exercises as taught by Alexander Sass for a senior citizen?
I think it's awesome. Isometric exercises are amazing. I used isometric exercises with a lot of my clients all the time, because, you know, some of my clients, they didn't have very good motor control for one reason or another. So if they tried to lift a weight, it was just a mess. In which case I would, okay, hold it here, 30 seconds. You know, you simply need to contract the muscle hard against resistance. Whether that resistance moves or changes direction, completely irrelevant. Isometrics are brilliant.
Love it. Chi-Town Biker says, any studies on dairy and inflammation?
I'm sure there are, but I am not read up on them.
Okay.
I personally have no idea.
Sean says, what's your opinion using a Smith machine compared to a free bar?
So they're both effective. A Smith machine is safer. So with a free weight or a barbell, there are generally not, unless you set it up correctly, safety mechanisms built into it. You know, so if you're in a regular bench, yeah, they have those little hooks that you take the bar on and off. But what happens if you fail? You're going to drop the bar in your chest. Unless you are bench pressing in a squat rack and you have the bar catchers up high enough so it hits them before it hits you. You know, there's ways to set it up. But a Smith machine is just a little bit safer. A lot of people say that free weights make you stronger than Smith machines. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this before. And the problem is people are using how much weight they can lift on a free weight exercise as a measure of strength, when that's not a measure of strength. Strength is how much force your muscles can produce. A bench press, a squat, or a deadlift is a combination of a technical skill plus strength. And the skill that you develop from a Smith machine bench press does not transfer to a bench press skill. Skill transfer is specific. It's called the law of specificity. It's a neurological fact. This is why you can be a surfer, but not necessarily good at skateboarding, and vice versa. They look pretty darn close, but they're different enough to where that skill doesn't transfer. The Smith machine and the bench press look fairly identical. They don't transfer. Hitting a ball in cricket versus in baseball looks pretty darn similar. They don't transfer. Tennis versus pickleball versus racquetball. You know, these are countless examples. So I think a lot of the things people don't understand motor learning and skill transfer. So they say Smith machines don't make you as strong. Well, because you're using free weights to measure that strength. But Simply put, free weights can be a little safer.
Excellent. Excellent. Edith, if you're still there, you got one more question. And then we're going to start coming in for a landing here.
I have one more. All right.
Go for it.
Jay, I'd love for you to share your thoughts on warm-ups and cool-downs.
If you are resistance training, if you're going into the gym choosing relatively safe exercises that do not require a lot of balance or skill, warm-ups and cool-downs, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. Cool-downs are completely unnecessary. There's no physiological reason at all to do a cool-down. As for a warm-up, if you are doing the exercises safely, correctly, and not choosing exercises that require a lot of skill, you don't need them. Basically, I look at warm-ups as practice swings. So if you're doing a bench press, which it seems simple, but it's actually quite a technical skill, or a squat, you're going to want to do a practice swing. You're going to want to practice the movement of the squat before you get in there and put some weight on. Same with the bench press. You're not necessarily warming anything up. You're just retraining. You're just turning the skill back on. You're practicing the skill before you put more weight on. Physiologically, in terms of warming up, if you do like a machine, say you're doing a leg press machine, you don't need a warm up, because the first couple of repetitions that aren't very challenging is your warm up. So basically what I do when I train is I will do a practice set or a warm up on the first exercise of the workout, and then I do not do another warm up from start to finish, because it's just physiologically unnecessary.
Thank you.
Here's a question from Guns. He says, are calisthenics still a viable fitness option? And I'm assuming that means like body weight exercises.
So the term calisthenics became conflated with body weight exercises.
Okay.
They're not the same thing. If you look at an exercise history book, which a friend of mine, David Landau, actually sent to me, because the fitness industry hacked the term calisthenics because of like these guys in New York City who are jacked doing chin-ups. Those are not calisthenics. Those are body weight exercises. Calisthenics are movements done in a rhythmic pattern. A burpee, a jumping jack, stair climber, those kinds of things. Those suck. Body weight exercises, which are not calisthenics, are tremendously good. Chin-ups, push-ups, even body weight squats done correctly, they are absolutely a viable fitness option. The only thing is, when it comes to training your lower body, it can get a little tricky. You know, how do you contract your legs hard enough against resistance with body weight movements? You're probably gonna have to do some sort of static hip belt squat or something like that. But for the upper body, they're amazing. I also incorporate body weight movements into my workouts, along with free weights and machines. They're all useful.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we've been on for over an hour. I want you to do two things. Give us the final word on fitness. We have a wide variety of ages that are watching this and are taking notes. And then second part is tell us where people can find you.
All right. My final word on fitness is you absolutely can optimize your response to exercise with far, far less than the fitness industry claims, if it is done correctly. Now, if anybody here would like me to teach them how to do it correctly, I offer something called the Maximum Stimulus Program, where I take you through 4 months of individual one-on-one coaching with me, where I teach you from even a novice, beginner, advanced, and show you how to apply this stimulus effectively, optimally, and safely, so that way you know it for life and your workouts are dialed in for life. All right, it's called my Maximum Stimulus Program. You work one-on-one with me. You can also find me On Instagram, Jay Vincent Fitness. I post all kinds of stuff, funny stuff, informative stuff, debunking all kinds of nonsense. And I also take questions there. I do a Q&A every Saturday on my Instagram and my YouTube, Jay Vincent Fitness. I post about 2 to 3 long format videos a week. Educational, clearing up all the confusion of fitness.
Love it. All right. You can be found at Jay Vincent Fitness on YouTube and Jay Vincent Fitness on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
And your signature program is Maximum Stimulus.
The Maximum Stimulus Program. Yep.
Excellent. And that would be for people of any age.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
Any age, any condition, any fitness level. My goal is to teach you how to train to produce the best results possible. It's the least amount of time in the gym while making it literally impossible to hurt yourself in the process. Keep in mind, I've personally supervised over 25,000 workouts. I was coaching athletes at Florida State University, 8-year-olds, 80-year-olds going through chemo. Never has there ever been an injury under my supervision, ever. And that is very important. And that is something I spend time teaching as well.
Yeah, that's quite a track record. Well, thanks for spending some time with us, with the audience. And there were some good questions there. And let's have you on again. We'll talk about nutrition. We'll talk about supplements more. We'll talk about peptides, TRT, all the stuff that everybody's talking about now. But I'll have you on again.
Much to talk about. So much.
Yeah. All right, Jay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for having me, George. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye. Yeah. All right. There you go. Jay Vincent Fitness. Jay and I have known each other for several years now. Probably, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 7 years. We shared stages together. He spoke about fitness, and I was speaking about other things, some of the stuff that you already know about. And I had him on the show, another show that I did many years ago. And he literally changed the way that I work out. I was that guy, 5 sets of 10, have to be in the gym 3 to 4 times a week. And he said, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do. And I was the guy that was chasing the pump all the time. I wanted the pump. And there's a difference between utilizing the muscle and using the muscle. And when we go to the gym, we're just like using the muscle. We're not breaking it down. We're not stimulating it. Like he talks about the Maximum Stimulus Program. Jay helped me to slow down. I got some great gains as a result of Jay. And we'll have him back on again sometime. Check him out. Jay Vincent Fitness on YouTube, Jay Vincent Fitness on Instagram. And I want to thank you, my friendly acquaintances, for hanging out with us tonight. I hope that answered some of your questions. And we'll catch up with you real soon. Thank you for being here.